Good afternoon. Welcome to Cliff on Cars. I'm Cliff. Welcome to Cliff on Cars and Things. I'm Cliff. You joined me today on a sunny, slightly windy and slightly chilly winter's afternoon. Yeah, winter's coming in South Africa, and we don't like the cold here in South Africa. We're used to the heat, especially myself. So once it drops below 27 degrees, I'm not a happy chappy. However, today I brought you something special. This is a big one. We've had a look at a couple of icons on the channel so far. We've had the Z3M Coupe, we've had the T3 2.6i Caravel, but today we bring you what I feel is the next big thing in the South African car cult culture. This vehicle is taking South Africa by storm. This is none other than VW's VR6. Behind me we've got the Jetta variant. It also comes in a Golf. And the VR6 motor was not only used in the Golf and the Jetta, it was also used in other models in the VR6 line, with the Charon as well, which used the VR6 which we got here in South Africa. However, today we are specifically looking at the Jetta, which in a way represents both the Golf at the very same time. Okay, so let's delve into it. The soundtrack of South African car culture used to be a 325 IS. Yes, it used to be a 325 IS. A lot of you may argue about this and say it still is a 325 IS. I don't think so. I beg to differ. I think that the 2.8 VR6 is now the soundtrack of the South African car culture. You go onto your social medias and you have a look. I mean, you've got Golfs and Jettas and City Golfs, now even T3 Caravels, now running the R32 version of the VR6. So you cannot discount the fact that this is the vehicle that is now setting the trend, because people are not taking the VR6 engine out and using it on other models. We hardly see that happening with the 325 IS engine, it being swapped around other models. Not at all. But because people want so badly to feel the power of your VR6, they're willing to buy the motor and put it into another model, whether it be a Mark 1 or a Caddy Bucky. Now, behind me is OBD1. This is first generation. VR6 we first saw in 1996 here in South Africa. I remember very well the first VR6 I saw. I was in high school standing at the car park waiting to get picked up by my mom, and a chap called Ian Carmichael from Swaziland. We actually went to the same primary school. He was way ahead of me, but he pulled up in a Golf. If I remember, I think it was gray or black, but I think it was charcoal. He pulled up in an OBD1 Golf VR6, and that was the first time I saw it, and after that, they were everywhere. Okay? So, let's have a look at this, and let's see what separates OBD1 and OBD2, because the facelift is dubbed the OBD2, but this is the OBD1. So let's have a look at this car and see what the fuss is all about, because trust me, there is a fuss. There seems to have been a motorbike rally here today. So if you hear some motorcycles revving in the background, it's just a few guys left. They're packing up now, getting ready to leave. So it looks like it's a very big event because it's just barricading everywhere. But anyway, silly of me, I forgot to tell you where we're shooting. Where's our location? Yeah, we're at the Mbombela World Cup Stadium. This stadium was specifically built for the 2010 World Cup. So some of the teams came to play here. I watched 2 matches here myself personally. And when you've got time, you can Google Mbombela World Cup Stadium. It's quite a notorious stadium, as a matter of fact. Story to tell behind that. Yeah. Let's get into it now. OBD1. Okay, so behind me, right there, that is the 2010 World Cup Stadium. And we are here in the precinct filming the OBD1. Okay, so I'm just gonna give you a quick walk around. First we just walk around the car, then we start reviewing the car and see what it has to offer. Slight breeze out, and that's what's causing the chill on this winter's afternoon. That breeze is blowing around. Can you hear those super bikes? Well, they're all leaving now. Okay, that was a quick walk around. So we are missing the boot badge over here. Not actually missing. It's gone away to get polished so that it looks good. It was looking a bit faded and not looking in good condition at all. You've got your VR6 badging right there, and OBD1 generation 1. You've got the smoke light in the top and the red at the bottom. You've got the color-coded bumpers. You've got the black on the bumper and the red at the bottom. OBD2 is color-coded. And there's a loud noise coming from the back. As a matter of fact, I had this silencer fitted yesterday. The vehicle was wearing another silencer, which was a single box, which is actually now here in the boot, wrapped up over there. So it just had a single pipe coming out there, and the one we've got on there now is OEM, and it looks perfect. It was very well done, very well fitted. The chap that did the exhaust, I trust his work, and he did a great job. While we've got the boot open, you'll notice that there's no carpeting. I think it would have been great if the Jetta had carpeting over there, but look at the size of that boot. It is massive. It is big. This boot rivals the boot on my W124 300E. One thing about a Jetta, if you got a family, Jetta is a perfect family car because of the size of its boot. You can fit a lot of things into it. VR6 comes with a boot spoiler. There's a high roof brake light in the windscreen. You can hear that. Those are the super bikes. Well, let's give him a chance. So I've had the camera off for about two minutes. This guy's still going on. I don't know what this is all about, but bikers, man, they just love revving their bikes. There's hardly anybody here, but there is a village around here, so maybe it's a call sign for all the young ladies. Hey, hear how loud mine is. Maybe it's got something to do with the size. So what we have over here, OEM VR6 mud flaps, and like I explained to you, OBD1, the bumpers are not color coded. So you've got the black, you've got the color, and then you've got the black at the bottom. The rim we have on here today is not for the Jetta, it's for the Golf. This car still has got its original OBD1 BBS rim. It's just gone away for refurbishing. So once that comes back, it will have that rim back on here, and that rim looks way better on this car than this Golf VR6 rim. So this is just a temporary thing. Once again, you have a look. This car is original. I mean, it's got the numbers on the windows, all original. Once again, handles are not color coded, beadings are not color coded. Then it's got a sill at the bottom, which is also not color coded. However, in OBD1, the beadings and the bumpers are color coded, but the sill is not color coded on OBD2. Have a look at this car. Everything on this car is straight, dead straight. I mean, have a look at that. Everything is in proportion. Look how clean that is inside there. This car is immaculate, very well looked after, not molested, in perfect condition. OBD1, you can see with the grille, it's all color coded. It's a black grille, so the face is different to the face on the OBD2 facelift. What's missing here is the OEM VR6 badge, which you would have over there. That's not there. Let's get a better look from the bottom. And this is what you see charging behind you. Antenna's been blacked out. Let's have a look inside. Let's have a look at the door card. Have a look at the dash. See the size of the cubby holder. Ooh, some money in there. Good size cubby holder. We call this a cubby holder in South Africa. Maybe where you're from, you call it a glove box. But I want you to look at the seats. Look at the condition of these seats. When last did you see a VR6 with the side bolsters like this? These have not been refurbished, these seats. This is original seats. Even on the driver's side. Have a look at that. Let's have a look at the back. Before we go there, let's have a look at the sill over here. This car is in great condition. Look at the rubbers. This car is in good condition. Even at the back here, still got the numbers on the glass. OEM. Let's have a look at this back seat. Perfect condition. Perfect condition. You've got a center armrest there. I don't think this armrest has ever been used, as a matter of fact. I doubt so. And then look at the back here. Doesn't look like it's ever been used. The material there, the carpeting on the back is in perfect condition. And one thing to note, which separates OBD1 and OBD2, is the seat. OBD1 is open headrests, like the Mark II Golf Jetta, and OBD2 comes with a closed headrest. We'll step inside here. Let's get a good view of the dash. Okay. So here we are. There's no radio here. It's been blanked off. As a matter of fact, that blank is an OEM blank for a VW Caddy, and it fits perfectly onto the VR6 over here. From Mark II to Mark III, which is what this is, the dash got a bit bigger, much bigger, but still it looks very good and it's dated very well. So in the center you would have the air vents, you would have your radio. In most VR6s today, obviously it's a high powered sound system. And then you have your climate control. Then you've got your fan speed, the center, you've got your temperature, you've got your fan speed on the left, you've got your temperature in the center, and then on the far right, you've got the selector which decides where you want your air to blow from. The front vents or at your feet. It's got aircon, it's got air circulation, it's got demister, and then you've got your controls for your window. Left and right rear window over there, and a lock for the kids not to tamper with it. You've got an ashtray, you've got a cigarette lighter. You still have your cassette holders. So what you would do back then, you would pop that open, pop your cassette in there and store it. Sort of like a CD shuttle, but that doesn't play the CD. gear lever with a full leather boot on it, top to bottom, and still looks good today. I mean, look at the condition of that leather on there. It's in perfect condition. We have a handbrake in the center, and right here for the back passengers we have the ashtray. Steering wheel OBD1 steering wheel is the one you're looking at now. OBD2 has a different steering wheel. Okay, let's look at the cluster there. So cluster gives you a top speed of 260. You've got your heat on the left, you've got your fuel on the right, gives you a clock, and it gives you your odometer for your kilos. This car is way low in kilos. 128,000 on the clock only. And I've got to tell you, driving this car, this engine is tight. This car has not been molested in any way at all. To your far right, you've got your light selector. Put on your park lights and your headlights, and you've got your stalk for indicator, you've got your stalk to bright and dim, and right behind there you've got your hazards. On the driver's side, you've got your controls for the mirrors in front of your door lever, door handle, and behind your door handle here you've got the buttons which control front, left and right windows. Okay, interesting thing to note is that there's a cloth material that goes here, not leather, and it's lasted very well in this car, because on most of these vehicles you find this in not good condition at all. A lot of space down there in the door card to pack your stuff. You've got a speaker down there as well, and you've got your pedals at the bottom there, clutch, brake, accelerator. Look at the clutch, it's a bit low, so the clutch does get stuck a bit in this car right now. That needs to be sorted out. But the pedals of the clutch and the brake and the accelerator, I think they're taking off the Mark II. They look very similar. I had a Mark II, and yeah, that looks very similar. Yeah. Okay, if we come to the back of the seat and we take a look at this net over here. I mean, these are in perfect condition. They're still nice and tight on the back of the seat. And the seat itself is just, it's in great condition. I mean, look at that headrest. Wow. Okay, so you've got a light, reading light at the back over here, on and off. You've got a coat hanger, you've got an armrest, and that's on all four sides. You have an armrest and reading light for the back. You've got your interior lighting for the front over here on the top, together with your alarm sensors. That's for your door and for your reading. And then you've got a mirror in the sun visors. Only on the passenger sun visor there's a mirror. On the driver's sun visor there is no mirror. So driver, you look at the road and stop looking at yourself. Okay. The roof lining here is in perfect condition. We just have this plastic piece that goes across here that's starting to sag. But for a car this age, I mean, there's hardly anything you can complain about in this car. This car's in good condition. I mean, look at that. Wow. Looks like it just came out of the factory. And there we have it. 2.8, 128 kilowatts of pure joy. One thing that's very similar between the VR6 and the M3 CSL is that the noise comes from the front and not the back. Similar to the 4.2 on the RS4, the noise comes out the front and not the back. Man, did this engine change the landscape of car culture in South Africa. And that's why I'm saying that the 325RS was, and this now is, it's the VR6. 6-cylinder there, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll give you more about the engine later. Sun is about to go down, so weather's changing here. and I want to get this shoot done on the outside, and we'll talk more about the engine, the stats, at a later stage. Have a look at how clean this engine is. I've got to tell you, this car is just, it's in great condition. Look at that cover on the bonnet there. Look at that. I mean, every single clip is still there. I don't think it's ever been taken off. Water bottle is a bit, looks a bit muddy. They all do. VW water bottles of this age all turn this color. This one's been cleaned out, and this is the best they could get it to. Right? Well, water bottle is still good, thank God. Still got the blanket over here. As a matter of fact, this blanket comes off an Audi A4, and it fits onto here. But you've got to stand up and take your hat off. This motor is probably VW's finest hour. You may say to me, Golf 7, Golf 8, and you talk about your special edition Golf 7s, and I'll say to you, very well, but I want to see where those Golfs are going to be 20 years from now. I want to see where those motors are going to be there, if they're going to be there 20 years from now. And I can tell you that this VR6 is still going to be here. What you're looking at here is a piece of automotive excellence. Well done, VW. No, that's not the foil that you throw on a dead body on the road. That's just the that's just the windscreen sun protector, which I've thrown on the floor. Just now somebody says, Cliff from Clifton Cars has got that silver foil to wrap up dead bodies, which he chunks in the back of the big boot on the VR6. And there we have it. Personally, for me, OBD1 over facelift OBD2. We'll find a picture of OBD2, we'll put it alongside the OBD1, and you decide which one you think looks better, and you will see the differences and the similarities. But all in all, both of them are just awesome vehicles. Awesome. in the VR6 and we're taking it for a drive. So what's it like to drive a VR6? The first thing I'm going to say to you is that it's quite reassuring. When you've got a V6 in front of you, it's always reassuring. It's smooth, it climbs beautifully onto the cam, it's just revs from 0, you can change at 2000 revs, and the power band just comes on so beautifully, so seamlessly, so effortlessly. And that's the magic with this 128 kilowatt VR6 motor, is that the power is so easy to access. I am going downhill now and I'm just touching the throttle lightly and she's just pulling away. I'm already in 5th gear. You do get some wind noise. This is a car from the 90s. So there is some wind noise coming from the front of the car. Insulation inside the car is not the best. Once again, from the era, I'm sure in its time it did very well. Suspension wise, suspension on VW Jettas in general has always been soft. It's always been set up as a family car. Jetta is a family car. The fact that this has got a 2.8 performance engine doesn't take away from it being primarily aimed at being a family vehicle. So it is soft and not very sporty when you drive it. And one thing about Jetta suspension, from Mark 1, all the way through, the rear suspension is extremely soft. Once you load that big boot and you fill it with bags, and you load 2 passengers in the back and 1 in the front, and the car's fully loaded, the back of a Jetta does sit down, and when you've got your mud flaps, they just scrape everywhere. And that's why you see a lot of people not having mud flaps on their Jettas, because of the suspension being so soft. But having said that, it's a pleasure, because if the car was stiff, it would take a lot away from the drive, especially since this is a car for long distance driving. And the stiff suspension is not so great when you're out on the open roads, sitting in the car for hours. And how's the seat and how's the ambience, the interior? The seats in this car are still in great condition, so I'm getting a lot of cushioning. You have got a back support knob. Doesn't do much though, but it's here. And the side bolsters are still in good condition, so the seat is holding me very nicely. We've seen before, the leather is in great condition. Ambience inside the car, once again, I think that they could have added a bit of nicer touches to the trimmings, to the buttons for the windows, but everything is just black. So it does make it a bit bland in here. But when you hear the VR6 motor and feel the pull, you quickly forget about that. And that's why this car doesn't need a radio. And the radio here has been blacked out. It's no different to the RS4, for my 4.2 RS4. You don't need the radio, because what you get out of the motor, the sound, it's much better than any song, much better than any soundtrack. So this car creates its own soundtrack for you. Gear shift, seamless, smooth. Gears are not that long here in this VR6, I must say. Not that long at all. It's got a very nice gear shift. VW in general, not Mark 1, but Mark 2 upwards, even Polos have got very nice gear shift, very soft. And driving this car this couple of days, I've been finding myself having the same old problem that beginners have when they start driving VWs, where you put the car into third instead of first when you take off, because first and third gear are always so close to each other. The ratios are so close to each other in those two gears in VW. But I'm all sorted now. I'm acclimatized to the car. Car's got front seat headrest and back seat headrest. The headrests in the back are not obstructing my view, unlike other cars where the headrests at the back obstruct the view. I can see clearly out the back, and I think that's something wonderful. I get very annoyed when I'm driving a car. You look out the back rear view mirror and you can't see anything because the two headrests are in the way. Steering wheel. The steering wheel in this VR6 is actually a great size. It's the perfect size as far as the oval shape of it. It's smaller, it's thinner at the top and thicker at the bottom. And I think the top part is just a good size. I have mentioned before in my other, I think in the T3 Caravelle video, that I no longer like thick steering wheels. I do prefer thinner steering wheels. I think they give more control to the vehicle. But the one here in the VR6, the top half of the steering wheel is a good size. It's thick, but it's a good size. The bottom half I think is a bit too thick. I do prefer OBD2 steering wheel over the OBD1 steering wheel, which this is. I like the fact that there's no buttons on the steering wheel. I'm not a big fan of buttons all over the steering wheel for your volume and your onboard computer and all of that. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, how many people actually go on and check fuel consumption? How many people actually go on and do the chip on their cars? Very few people do that. And I mean, here it's just a button. You just press and then you get your chip, set it to 0. So I really do appreciate a clean steering wheel. Then suspension wise, I did say suspension is soft and not sporty. And where I think you really feel that is when you're at speed and you're going around corners, demanding corners, sharper corners. It feels as if the suspension is more loose and the steering wheel is slow, but as a matter of fact, that's not the case. You, the driver, just need to be faster, and you need to put more action into your steering wheel. So you need to turn the steering wheel more to get the movement out of the vehicle. So I was not turning the steering wheel, should I say, wide enough or deep enough to get the car to turn in, and because of that, it threw out my timing on how I was turning the corners at speed. But now I've got that sorted out. I understand the car very well. I understand how it works, and I think the car turns great and handles the corners very well. I don't know if you can hear it to the camera microphone, the GoPro microphone, but that exhaust is sounding just beautiful. It's a beautiful sound on a Saturday morning. By the way, I'm on my way to pick up rear brake pads for the Kia Sedona. Then I'm off to Macro to do some grocery shopping for the shop, get some supplies. We're town driving now, so we're driving this car in the city, not on the open road. Bit of a bumpy road here in the city. We're at 198 k's an hour, and it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful car to be in. Now you've got to understand that this is now a cult car. So the people who buy this car don't buy it to drive it 100 k's per hour like I'm doing it and drive it civilized. If a VR6 Golf or Jetta had to come the other way right now, it would be tearing down the road. Tearing down the road. A lot of them have job suspension, and like I say, some of them are now featuring the R32 VR6 variants. always revving them high because we know VR6 loves high revs. It's a high revving motor, and if you want to get any action out of a VR6, you've got to put it into the rev limiter. And if you go into the interwebs and the social medias, TikToks, you'll see that VR6s here in South Africa are revved all the way to the limit, and they just cut, and that's just how the people love them. And that's what makes it part of the cult car, is the fact that it can handle the high rev and just hold that high rev while it's cutting. They also make songs using the exhaust, so rev the exhaust to a song and it actually sounds like a bit of a song. Pretty interesting. The guys in South Africa, the Superbike guys do that, the VR6 guys do that, the BMW E30 guys do that. I don't know where they came up with this thing of let's make a song out of the exhaust, but they actually do it and they get it right. I must say, this robot always takes a long time to open. It really does take a long time to open. Robot, Riverside, part of the city, exit city limits, driving out of town. But we're not driving out of town. We're going to turn right and go to Motors. Alright, off we go. Oh yes, can you hear? That's just over 2,000 revs. And the sound coming out the exhaust is phenomenal. We're going around the roundabout. It's bumpy, but the suspension is just nice and soft. It really cushions you, this car. It'd be interesting to see how this vehicle would behave once it's got its original rims on, because remember now it's got the Golf VR6 rims on, because the original OBD1 BBS rims are getting sorted out. But I'm pretty sure when it's got that wheel on, it's going to have a much better road holding, and it's going to behave much differently on the uneven roads. But make no mistake, with this Golf rim, VR6 rim, it's doing well. It's doing great. I'm in third gear here into the roundabout and slightly touch the throttle and off we go. You can hear that. Plenty power in this thing, man. Plenty power in this thing. Okay, we're gonna take the back entrance here. Oh no, we're not going here actually. We're coming here after. We're starting at Motors, so we must make a turn, go back onto the main road. Let's start off at Motors and pick up the brake pads for the Kia. So my Kia is now on 250 odd thousand. It's the first time I'm going to be doing rear brake pads. Now, I usually use a lot of roundabouts here in Riverside. There's one feature we haven't used in this car, and that's the aircon. So as soon as I'm done picking up at Motors, I'm going to turn on the aircon and see if she blows cold. Let's cross our fingers for that one. Then we know it's something that doesn't need to get sorted out in the car. But hey, look, I can get right now I can drive this car to Durban, no problem, because it's just in such great condition. This car really is in good condition. And I think I've mentioned before, this car will be for sale, and whoever gonna get this car is gonna get a gem. Because VR6s are so abused in South Africa. It's public holiday, by the way. Long weekend, so Monday's a public holiday, June 16, Youth Day. So I'm here at Motors and all the bakkies are parked out here. Nobody's come in for work. So looks like they're working on skeleton staff for this long weekend. Okay, so we've picked up the brake pads at Motors, and off we go. I've just put the brake pads into the boot here in the VR6, and all the guys are standing and watching because everyone loves the VR6. Now I've just chucked the boot, the brake pads into the boot, and one thing that I don't like about the boot in the Jetta is the fact that it doesn't have side pockets or nets for you to put your small little items into the boot. It's just one big open space. And for something like a small box of brake pads, that's just gonna move around and they might just even come out of the packaging. But I can't leave them in the car because I'm going to park the car and I don't want anybody to see any items lying inside the car, just for safety. So I was saying that in South Africa, the youngsters who buy these cars really put them through their paces. We see them racing M3s, we see them racing cars that should not be racing. But they really work these VR6 motors to a point where they get them performing to their peak. We don't see that much with the 325IS. We don't see a lot of people modifying the 325ISs. They love to keep them stock standard, and I think that's because of the collectability of a 325IS, that they don't tamper with them. Unlike the VR6. And also, the price bracket of the 325IS is so way up there as compared to the VR6. So once you buy one, it's more like a trophy that you put on a shelf and don't really take off the shelf unless you have to. I've just taken off there, and that was just by clutch with no accelerator. So I'm moving around this parking lot and the car is just pulling itself along. All the car guards here waving, happy to see the VR6. Okay, so I'm going into Macro now, and I'm going to do some grocery shopping, get supplies for the shop. So I'll be back in about an hour or so. Okay. you.